Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, do you believe that our politicians are getting too old? Mitch McConnell, for a second time, he had a brain freeze and froze up there. So he's in his 80s. Uh, as far as I'm concerned, uh, there should be term limits. And again, uh, these politicians, they won't put term limits in, and I I know that term limits are going to be good because we get opportunities opening up for the younger politicians coming up, uh, and we get rid of the old guard, and that's a problem that we've had, and unfortunately, a lot of our politicians that we've had are those that are part of war and part of battles that we've had. Uh, President wise, pretty much most of our presidents have been a part of the military, except for our draft dodger, Bill Clinton. Um, Obama, he didn't have any military experience. So we have to have some changes because the same issues keep coming up, and it seems that the same people keep blocking movement forward. We have Mitch McConnell, who's been a real pain, and he blocks a lot of stuff and things that aren't right uh, that I see. And so, my biggest fear when we start getting too many of these politicians, our senators, our congressmen, our House of Representatives, our assembly people, and especially our president, because we have two old timers going at it again. Former POTUS 45, Donald Trump. Here he is. He's coming up on 80. He's late 70s, almost 80. So the the biggest risk that our country faces are these old timers dying in office. And the worst thing that can happen, we have a president that dies in office. And that's the biggest fear that we Americans have. Joe Biden dropping dead or just not waking up in the morning. And then if Biden does, bite the dust, then we have our vice president, Kamala Harris, who would take over his position. And she would become the president, the first woman president of the United States. But we don't know what's going to happen. I had predicted, because I was so afraid that Joe Biden was so old already. Uh, I had, for the longest time, said that he would not live out his first term. And here he is. He's coming up on re-election, so he's proved me wrong. And the reason why I say that is because he is literally 1.5 feet in the grave. I mean, you look at some of these older politicians; they look like zombies. Literally, they look like zombies. And so there are political zombies. They're the Walking Dead. Literally, we have Nancy Pelosi at 83 today announced that she's going to be running in 2024 for re-election to her Senate seat. She's already 83, and Senate seats are 6 years. So that would place her. She would be 60 or 84, and then another 6 years, she'd be 90. It's not likely that she's going to live out a 6 year term in the Senate and turn 90. We got to get rid of these old timers. We need young, fresh vision in our administration, our leadership for our country, because having too many of these old folks with the old ideas from the past are not helping us to make progress forward as we move into the future. And right now, here's some of the things that I looked up. Biden is 80 right now. Dianne Feinstein, the senator from San Francisco, she's 90, and she's still got a year to go. She'll be 91, and there's been a lot of she's been locking up, and saying the wrong things, and thinking that she's somewhere else and giving speeches. So she's kind of confused, and even her people in her own staff are questioning whether she's actually fit to serve. I mean, she is 90, and she's going to be 91 when she leaves office. Good thing that she has said that she's not running for re-election. I hope voters, vote somewhere else, on some of these old folks. Nancy Pelosi, she's 83, and she'll be 84 next year when she runs for re-election. And Nancy's big thing is she wants to have that power again. She wants to be the House Speaker once again, uh, because right now we have somebody else in as the House Speaker for the Republicans, and so she stepped down, from that position, which was kind of surprising because she's such an egomaniac and so power driven. I don't know. Then we have Mitch McConnell, locked up, brain fright, brain froze twice giving a speech. So, and then his aides had to come to his aid to remind him where he was and what to say. So right now, average age of our current Senate is 64 years old. Oh my God, that's pretty darn old. That I'm already there. I'm 63, and I personally don't want to be in politics. I ran for Oakland mayor because there were no good candidates that were qualified. I was the only one with all the qualifications. I had the staffing and the personnel that could have moved a lot of things forward in Oakland. We could have fixed the 980 corridor problem and resolved the homeless situation here in Oakland. We would have brought entertainment back to the forefront here in Oakland. We could have built a new stadium out in Oakland Middle Harbor, revitalize an area that is pretty much 180 acres of dead spot here in Oakland, not doing a thing for you, the Oakland resident and taxpayer. Then we could also look at setting up new venues for sports like soccer. There's a lot of great opportunities to acquire two soccer teams, one for the men, one for the ladies. And then we're looking at a WNBA team, trying to bring WNBA to the Oakland arena. So these are ideas that we need the young folks in, but we can't have them too young. Like our new mayor, she's unqualified. She doesn't know what she's doing. She hasn't lived enough. She hasn't been in service to you, the taxpayers and the voters, to have the knowledge and the qualifications to become mayor. But yet, she became mayor. I'm not saying that I think that any of the other candidates were any better, because it was a pretty weak field in terms of qualifications. I spent 20 years working with politicians in high levels of our government, so I know what I'm doing. I had my own personal staff of 800 to 1,000 personnel that I oversaw, and also a $5.5 billion annual budget that I oversaw. So, in terms of qualifications, I was actually overqualified to be Oakland mayor, but I was the only one that had the vision and the knowledge and the skills and the background that could have achieved everything that came out of my mouth, because I don't talk about anything that I will not achieve. And and so getting back to our politicians, uh, we have 54 senators older than 65. That's too many. We need to cut that in half. And the average age should be between 35 and 50. That's where our decision makers, the ages should be, because at that point they have acquired some sufficient knowledge and skills and background and knowledge to do the jobs uh, that they need to do, and to have fresh ideas. Uh, we haven't had a fresh idea out of the Senate or Congress or House of Representatives in decades, and all we're doing is seeing a lot of squabbling between the Democrats and the Republicans. I am an independent. I am a moderate in terms of my leaning. I don't go to either extreme, to the right or a left. I sit in the middle. I'm willing to negotiate pretty much everything on there, and I'm willing to listen. That's the biggest thing. The two sides that are currently in power, they don't listen. They don't listen to each other, and they don't listen to us, the voter. And so we need a third party that can end a lot of the two party squabbling that goes on. We had it once before, a third party, a long time ago. That was Ross Perot during the uh, George H.W. Bush fiasco. Uh, but he ended up being a spoiler, and then that's how Bill Clinton won. Yeah, and what can I say? We need fresh blood in our political arena, and Congress, our congressmen, average age is 58 for this current seated Congress. Previously, it was 48, 10 years younger. And so unfortunately, we lost a lot of youngsters in the previous vote. Uh, there are in Congress 143 seated members that are over 70 years old right now. So that would be the upper limits of political service that I would be talking about, and that should be a term limit. 72 should be your term limit, um, because as each year goes by, the risk of death and um, not being able to move an issue forward becomes very great with each passing year when you're over 70. And so here's the thing that's really scary. Here in America, the median age, the current median age of America is 38.8 years. So we should be looking at leaders in that 35 to 42 range. That's where we want to be. That's where you get the fresh ideas, the new blood in the circulation. And that's what America needs. Um, House of Representatives, average age is 57. So we're okay there. There's some room, because, like I said, 72 would be an absolute cutoff. House of Representatives, except for Nancy Pelosi, you know, over there. But we need a lot of new, fresh, young people to step up into politics, to become involved, to make the difference. And I constantly hear the younger folks complain and say that they're not being heard because nothing that they say is being done. It's falling upon deaf ears. Well, yeah, you're falling, everything's falling on deaf ears because the old folks there are hard of hearing. They can't hear you. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.